So their intentions were never to have a relationship. And then in the beginning, when she picked up Al at the airport, he was married, so she had no inclinations to have any romantic involvement with another patient. Um, but when she found out that his house had burned down and they spent the evening together, and she related that news to him, there was also in the background the idea that he was no longer attached and he was available. And at the same time, she was at that place in her career where she was really seeking. She had never dated. And so she was at a place where she was really seeking a relationship herself. And she could see what the experience they had together that night, how Al reacted to it, and she could see that it would be helpful for several different reasons for her to join in, that their bonding together would be enhanced. And of course, the whole idea behind this is to have a rich, intense emotional experience associated with the physical sensory enhancements of the memory device. And I think by now Al doesn't even remember having problems with Alzheimer's. That seemed to quickly wash aside. The By now, 9 days in, 10 days after the evening together, his brain activity had been greatly accelerated, so there was no longer any hint of Alzheimer's, and he could remember in vivid detail all of the experiences that they had around the LA area and together in the penthouse. So it becomes very appropriate for her to make the choice at this time to join the group, and then she's in a position because of medical her medical education and the background she'd had in coaching a few other patients through this process, to be of great assistance in the next stage down in San Diego, where I've talked about that they're going to try to get a broadband expansion so that they can now begin a telepathic exchange. And now, since they have an emotional involvement together, they're an ideal candidate to begin the telepathic involvement. Maybe you've had this experience with a loved one. You can feel what they're saying. I've heard other people talk about uh, that they have a notion or some kind of you can call it telepathic, but they'll have an urge to call each other so that both lines are busy, like they're calling each other at the same time. Or some other loved one will have some kind of emergency, and you'll feel a need to call them, or maybe you have a relative that you just feel a tremendous urge to call them, and you call them, and you find out they had a need to talk to somebody about the difficulty that they've had. So these kind of abilities in the human being are latent, or they're sometimes surfaced under these intense emotional circumstances. So you can take it's a natural extension to take that and try to develop more profound telepathic abilities between two people that are involved in an emotional because we've talked about this before in the podcast, that all of the sensory information that you take in can't be remembered all at once. It would be, you couldn't sort through it. You sort of need a library card index, and that's the emotional content that is flagged or tagged against the sensory memory. And then you've also experienced where a certain smell or a certain taste. They brought up the example of Proust, who's a tremendous author. Tasted a tea cake or a biscuit with his tea, and it was from his childhood, and it brought an avalanche of memories just from that one bite, that taste, that smell, the texture, all of his memories from that time in his childhood when he first tasted that tea cake came all back to his mind. So that's what we're working. That's what we're working here now, and and remember the whole brain health thing about. I watched a podcast last night that went on and on about if you just buy this certain product, it will enhance the biome in your gut, and thereby enhance the nutrients to your brain, and you'll have an enriched memory if you'll just buy this product. But I'm saying you don't need to buy the product, you just need to change your diet so it's all vegan, it's all natural, and in the time it takes to clear your gut, like 10 days, 14 days, 2 weeks, all the stuff that you took in is going to go out, and now you've got a whole different set of plant material in your gut to enhance your biome, and you don't have to spend a dime on any kind of vitamins or prebiotics or yeah. Anyway, thank you for listening in. Goodbye.